we are doing glass painting. So let's go over our materials. So today I have my painting instructions, of course, from Crafts and Drafts. I've got a paint palette. I've got a water cup for rinsing my brushes. I am using painter's tape today. That's just an optional thing. That's for my own notation. I've got my paints, and the paints, I want to take a pause and just make it very clear that you have to use specific paints for glass painting. Paints you use should be these enamel paints. They are for multi-surfaces, including glassware. If you use regular paints, they will not work. You will not be able to wash it in the dishwasher. So make sure you use the right ones. I've got my paint brushes, and then of course I have some paper towels just to help me keep things clean around here. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started. So I am going to, like I said, just kind of mark an area, and that's because I'm using a wine glass, and I just want to make sure that I'm using, just kind of keeping sort of a level area where I am painting. This is entirely optional, up to you. And I think I'm just gonna kind of do some cute little flowers today. So we'll go ahead and start out with a little bit of green. And you want to make sure that your paintbrushes are a little bit on the thinner side if you're doing any detail work, of course. And with these enamel paints, just like many other paints, a little can go a long way. So just pour out a little bit and see if you need to add more rather than, dumping out the whole bottle. Doing glass painting is much like painting a canvas. It's gonna be, just whatever you want. So this is definitely one of those crafts that's more for the creatively inclined, because it's basically just using, a glass as your medium rather than a canvas. But the design is up to you. It's not really recommended to try to use stencils or anything like that when doing glass painting, partially because it's a glass and you're gonna have a hard time keeping any kind of stencil on there, but also because glass paints can be a little bit difficult, and sometimes as they start to cure, they can almost peel off if they haven't fully cured. So there's this interesting time where they are like halfway dry, where they can be a little bit frustrating to work with. And you want to be careful of not scraping at them or anything, and stencils can really get in the way. This is my painted glass. There's a couple of ways to cure glass painting, and this is definitely the most important part. The first way is to let it air dry. So you can let it air dry for roughly 21 to 30 days. And then you should, after it's air dried and cured completely, you should only wash by hand. The other option, which is the way that I recommend, is to bake at home. So what you'll want to do is place this glass in a cold oven on a baking sheet and turn the oven on to 350 degrees. You'll want this glass to heat up with the oven, bake it for 30 minutes at 350 degrees, turn the oven off, and let it cool down with the oven. The reason for that is that if you take glass from a cold environment to a hot environment too quickly, it will break the glass. So you want to make sure to have it heat up with the oven, cool down with the oven, bake for 30 minutes at 350 degrees. If you do that, you can wash on the top rack of your dishwasher. I can attest, I have tons of painted wine glasses at home, and I have washed them many a time in my dishwasher on the top rack after baking them, and they are still good as new. So thank you so much for joining me today.